Sometimes the path to truth doesn't lie in running toward the light, but in squinting through the dark and waiting. Science, with its reliance on observation and experimentation, moves within the boundaries of objectivity, but some questions, some intuitions, some forms of knowing fall far beyond those boundaries. That's why ilm and science aren't the same thing. In ancient traditions, ilm wasn't just knowledge, it was wisdom. A deeper way of seeing the world, not merely through external mechanisms, but through the inner structure of being. Occultism is the modern echo of this ancient wisdom. Its roots stretch back to Hermetic traditions, Pythagorean mysteries, Egyptian initiations, and Eastern mysticism. Although the word occult implies secrecy or concealment, the truth is, it's not hidden just for the sake of hiding, well? It's hidden because not everyone is ready to see. To truly grasp it, you need more than intellect. You need awareness. You need intuition. And above all, you need the willingness to change. Because occultism isn't just about knowing, it's about becoming. And once a person begins asking the deeper questions about creation, purpose, and consciousness, two great forces appear before them: spiritualism and materialism. One says, everything arises from a great universal spirit and nothing is separate. The other insists matter is the only reality, and what we call God or soul are human inventions. One begins with let there be light, the other ends with there was never anything else. In between lie paths like deism, where God creates but no longer intervenes, and theism, where divinity is present in every breath, every moment. Then there's agnosticism, which says, maybe there is something, maybe not, but we simply can't know. Our capacity is too limited. Occultism moves in its own orbit, touching all of these ideas but never confined by them. Its aim is not just to believe in a divine source, but to reach it. Not just to admire nature, but to interact with it. Not just to understand human potential, but to activate it. Sometimes this looks like mysticism or Sufism, surrendering to the divine. Sometimes it takes the form of outer practices, magic, astrology, alchemy, numerology. Entering the occult world feels like stepping into an invisible laboratory. Everything looks familiar, yet strangely unfamiliar. Physics still applies, but only up to a point. Beyond that, the rules bend, to energy, to intention, to symbols. So what might you find there? First, you'll likely meet magic. It sounds like something out of a fantasy book, but at its heart, magic is about focused energy, the language of intention. But not all magic is the same. High magic is clear, purposeful, and transformative. Low magic serves the ego, manipulation, selfish gain. Which one you use depends on your own inner frequency. Next comes alchemy. Not merely turning lead into gold, but transforming the self. True alchemy is soul work. The outer transformation is just a mirror of inner evolution. Then there's theurgy, a quieter, more sacred art. It's about connecting with divine beings, using rituals and symbols not to control but to commune. It's where prayer meets magic and something ancient stirs. Psychiurgy, on the other hand, is a more psychic path. It explores the mind's energetic influence, a kind of spiritual engineering, not flashy but incredibly precise. And of course, we can't ignore astrology and numerology, the cosmic and symbolic languages. They teach us to see patterns in the sky and in numbers. The number 1 speaks of unity, 3 is sacred balance, 5, the human microcosm, 7, the law of progression. In this symbolic world, the universe doesn't shout, it whispers, and we learn to listen. None of these systems exist in isolation. They speak to each other. Esotericism gives us the inner key. Theosophy provides the philosophical frame. Parapsychology dares to bridge science with spirit. And in all of this, knowledge is never just knowledge. It's a call, a mirror, a doorway. Because in the occult journey, books and diagrams only take you so far. The rest is about what you do. From the outside, it may look like an ordinary door, but step closer and you realize this is an initiation, a threshold. Not one crossed with your body, but with your soul. That's what initiation truly is, not gaining information, but becoming worthy of holding it. In ancient Egypt, initiates didn't just read scrolls, they risked everything. They were led through dark corridors, face to face with fear, desire, and weakness. Light had to be earned, and always through shadow. You couldn't access the sacred without first confronting the profane. That's why one inscription still echoes from temple walls. No mortal has ever lifted the veil from my face. Isis. This wasn't about passing a test. It was a confrontation with mortality itself. The initiate had to dissolve ego, surrender identity, and prepare for rebirth, sometimes quite literally. They would lie in a sarcophagus, simulating death, asking the soul, "Are you ready to be more than just human?" And always the final question, "Are you willing to die and be reborn in the name of truth?" These traditions weren't unique to Egypt. You'd find them among the Pythagoreans in the Orphic rites, in ancient Anatolia, and in the smoke-filled tents of Siberian shamans. The outer forms differed, but the essence remained. Real knowledge must be earned. And when you step back, something remarkable becomes clear. These traditions, scattered across continents, languages, and centuries, were all telling the same story. The outer forms changed, the names of the gods, the costumes, the cosmologies. But underneath it all, there was a shared archetypal structure, a kind of sacred blueprint embedded in the collective psyche. At the center of this structure is the seeker, the one who leaves the familiar, not because of ambition, but because of an unshakable inner pull. Then comes the threshold, the crossing into the unknown. The initiate often meets a guide, sometimes a priest, sometimes a dream, sometimes silence itself. And always there are trials, descent, disorientation, confrontation with shadow. Eventually the seeker encounters some version of the death-rebirth moment, the disintegration of identity. Only then does integration become possible. The journey ends not in triumph but in transformation. And this is not just myth, it is inner architecture. Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. Jung saw it as the path toward individuation. Mythologists, shamans, mystics, they all recognized it. Why? Because it plays out not just in ancient texts, but within us. That's why you can read about a Mayan fire ceremony, a Sufi whirling ritual, or a Siberian vision quest, and feel the same resonance. These aren't cultural quirks, they're expressions of something deeply human, a universal memory of the soul's long walk back to itself. And perhaps that's the real occult truth, that all true paths, when followed deeply enough, start to look less like separate roads, and more like different entrances into the same ancient temple. And it wasn't just about external teachers. The real guide was always inward. Know thyself, declared the temple at Delphi. Before reaching for the divine outside, you had to face the divine within. In the modern world, things have changed, but not disappeared. No one locks you in a sarcophagus anymore. But initiation still happens, in books, in dreams, in unexpected awakenings. In the teachings of Blavatsky, who revived theosophy, Gurdjieff, who whispered "remember yourself," or Krishnamurti, who shattered mental cages with words. No one drags you into a dark corridor now, but life might, and the question still lingers. Do you truly want to know, or just talk about knowing? Because today, initiation may look different. It may happen in silence, in solitude, in stillness. But the essence is unchanged. The real mystery has never been about information. It's about whether you're ready to become the kind of person who can carry it. Thank you for watching.